All righty. All right. Well, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Um, as people join, I will hit admit, and hopefully they won't miss too much. So our topic for today is recipe costing, which is something that we always get asked about. So yeah, hopefully this gives you a really good starting point on where to go with that. So the session is being recorded, so you can come back and look at it at a later date. Just as always, I just ask everyone to be on mute, just because the Zoom does pick up a little bit of background noise. And then if you've got a question, absolutely come off and ask it. And yeah, we will have some time for question and answer at the end as well. So before we get too carried away though, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners and the custodians of the lands in which we meet. I'm presenting you from Minjan, the traditional lands of the Turrbal and Yagara people. I also encourage you to know the names of the First Nations land and the people where you're located, and think of ways that you can adapt and use an acknowledgement of country, so that it remains meaningful and thought-provoking. So if you are yet to have met me, my name is Naomi and I'm the project manager for the Healthier Tuckshops program. I've had a change in position title since our last network meeting 2 weeks ago, where I was project officer and now I'm project manager, but it's not reflected in the pay. It's just a change in title. But it looks good anyway, doesn't it? So I am a dietitian by trade, and I'm the one that gets to travel around and hang out with all you wonderful people in Tuckshops, which I love doing, and I love seeing all the great stuff that everyone does on the ground. My work days with Quast are generally Monday through to Wednesday. Sometimes there is a Thursday in there as well, and my contact details are on the screen there too. But I'll shoot everyone an email probably on Thursday with a copy of the slides, should you want to come back and look at them at a later date, and then you can just keep my details handy. So the way that these sessions run, if you haven't been to one before, is that I give a bit of an update on all things cost. We run through the topic of the day, which is recipe costing. And then hopefully have some time for questions or discussions. If we do run out of time, you can email me, you can call me, you can pop questions on the Facebook group. I'm more than happy to answer them, outside the session, and even pop them up so that everybody can value from that answer as well. So I guess as I kind of alluded to before, we did, when we conducted our Tuckshop survey last year, we did get quite a bit of feedback saying that people wanted some resources and information on recipe costings. So we do have numerous member resources available for recipe costing, and it is something that we cover in that new Tuckshop management course. And in that course, we also take people through examples. So this session won't go into that level of detail, but it is enough to give you a bit of a starting point. And if you would like to know more, I absolutely recommend that Tuckshop Manager course, or feel free to reach out and I can help you as able. So about 12 months ago, there was a network meeting that was done on this same topic. I just thought it was very spreadsheet heavy. So I'm hoping this one is just that little bit easier to understand. And I guess I also just want to point out as well that I appreciate that when you guys are at work in the tuck shop, you don't have a lot of spare time in your already chock-a-block day. To potentially go through and cost all of your recipes. But I guess I just want to flag that it really is important. And so if this is a process that you do want to do and you don't have the time to do it, seek out some assistance from your P&C treasurer or the business manager. You might be able to provide them with the information and they can crunch the numbers for you. It is still a valuable skill, though, to know how to do this and understand why you're doing it. And so, where possible, I do encourage you to be able to do it. But I also appreciate that time is a factor for you guys. So, in terms of a bit of an update, I've been up to my eyeballs in reporting, and so I haven't managed to publish any new recipes or resources. I apologize. But there are a few in draft, so hopefully, and I always seem to have a list of things that I want to do, so hopefully they'll get some new resources up on the website soon. If it has been a while since you have gone through and had a good look through the resources, I do encourage you to take some time to do so. I even sometimes forget what's there or I'm surprised about something that's there. And so there might be something that you haven't seen yet or something that you've forgotten about. So I do encourage you to go and look through those resources. We are running, there is one more Tuckshop management course that we've put up on the website for this term. It's in early September. It's virtual, virtual, and it's a Tuesday. Um, I'm also looking into being able to run a face-to-face one of these when we head to Bundaberg in week 4 next term. And so if you are in Bundaberg region and you would like to come along and do that face-to-face, please let me know. I was also wondering about whether or not people might be interested in doing one on the pupil-free days in term 1 next year. If you guys have to be at school but there's no students there, whether or not that might be a valuable day to have a virtual course. So if you are interested in that, let me know and we can pencil in that date. I guess the only other update is next week. There's that ABC conference that a swag of Tuckshop conveners and managers are speaking at, and I was just finalising my presentation there as well. So if you are able to get to that, tickets are still open. So that's a pretty good day and a pretty cheap professional development in terms of what's available for you guys. So as always, if there is a resource that you're looking for and you can't find it or we don't have one, let me know because there's a good chance that someone else will also find it valuable. So recipe costings. How do you price a recipe? Is it guesswork or do you calculate? Anyone want to share what they do?
Yep.
Yep.
Calculate.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Calculate. Excellent.
definitely.
Yeah, that's definitely the way to do it. So when we talk about menu costing, it's essentially we're wanting to know what it costs you to make an item versus what you're selling it for. It's important that we accurately price items because food costs more to buy than it previously has done. Labour or wages need to be factored into the price of an item because in a lot of tuck shops the volunteer model is redundant. And it's also important because if you don't price an item accurately, your bottom line is going to be affected. So students won't buy something if the price is too high, or if things are too cheap, you're going to run at a loss, and then you run the risk of the tuck shop needing to close. So how do we cost a recipe? So our first thing we do is we list all the ingredients and the amount in which you use in that recipe. So then you prop the current price that you pay for that ingredient on that list as well. So you might need to do a bit of maths here. For example, in the recipe that's on the screen there, it says that you just use 3 stalks of celery. So you are not going to be able to buy 3 stalks of celery. So you just need to do a little bit of maths as to are you using half the celery, a quarter, things like that. So it's also really important that you include the cost of the packaging in your total price, and likewise how much time you spend making that recipe. So by including your time, it means you're getting an accurate picture of what the recipe truly costs to make. If the recipe takes you an hour to make, you add your hourly rate to how much all of those ingredients cost you. If it only takes you 30 minutes to make, then you halve your hourly rate and you add it to that list of ingredients there. You can do it on a piece of paper, in a Word document, or on a spreadsheet. It doesn't matter how you add it up, just as long as you go through a process to do it. So we do have some spreadsheets set up for this purpose, which are member access, that you can download, save, and then update again down the track. And so when you're doing this process, it is important that you do it for all of the recipes or items on your menu. Again, you might not have the time to be able to do it, but it is something that it's important that we go through and get the price difference of cost to make or to prepare or buy versus what we're selling it for every menu item. So for the example on the screen there, that pasta bolognese, including labour and packaging, I came to a total cost of $29.34 to make that recipe. So I've got 29.34. So that particular recipe, it made 12 serves. And so to work out the price per serve, it's that total price divided by 12, and I come to a amount of $2.44 per serve. So if that costs $2.44 to make, what price point would you guys sell a pasta bolognese at? Maybe $5? Up
$5.
Yeah,
$5? Yep. So if you
Yep.
were to sell at
5.50. Oh
5.50
no, sorry. Oh
or
yeah, $5. I was just looking
$5,
at mine. Yeah, what I charge for mine. So
yeah.
yeah,
So if you were to sell
and the
that for
costing.
$5, which is what most people probably would sell it for, then
Yeah.
we actually say that's 100% markup, which is something that we recommend Tuckshops do. So you
Mm-hmm.
could possibly bump it up a little bit higher if you wanted to 5.50 or $6, maybe depending on your student population and the demographics of where your school sits. High school kids tend to pay a little bit, are willing to pay a little bit more than primary school, so high school tends to be able to pop a little bit higher price on it. So, markup, when you hear me talk about markup, this means the difference between what you sell the product for and the price it costs you to make or what you buy it in for. And I'll go through this a little bit more. So, how often do you recheck your costings? Is it something that you would do once a year, every couple of years? Whenever?
When you have time,
When you have time, which is never, right?
or when you
So
know
Ours
what
is
the
done
big
about
questions.
once a year.
yeah, yep. And sometimes the P&C might say, "Oh, should we look at these prices? Is there something we can do about the prices?" So it is important that we check prices and that they're still accurate every 12 months if you can. And I guess this is where the spreadsheets that I mentioned before come in really handy, because your recipe is already in there. You just update the price and it does the calculations for you. So it does save you time down the track as you keep kind of redoing this process. So it's important that you are also able to price your commercially bought in items accurately too. So if you buy in something in bulk and then you repackage them, put them into smaller serves, make sure you include that packaging and the time it takes you to do that. Sometimes you might not be able to mark up commercially bought items to the extent that you can mark up items that you make in-house. Where we can, though, we still want to aim for 100% markup. So sushi is one item that tuck shops often struggle with here, because you might buy it in for $2.50, but you don't want to have to sell it for $5 to get that 100%, because kids are not going to pay $5 for it. So its markup might have to be a little bit less. So I guess if you were just considering like the cost of ingredients, um, is it worth making sushi or to buy it in?
We, I used to make the sushi here, but it took too long. That it wasn't cost effective any longer. So we got a sauce that was reasonable. We only have a smaller markup on it, but it
Yeah,
works.
and that's exactly what I would say as well. So it is, if you can make it, happy snaps to you, well done. But it's pretty fiddly. You need skills and the time to be able to do it. And so it doesn't make it cost effective to buy exactly as you said, Teresa. And I'm pretty sure if I tried to make sushi, it would look like that one on the left there. I can't imagine too many kids wanting to buy. I don't think my own kids would even eat it if I served it for dinner. But what about something like mac and cheese? Like, do we think is it more cost effective to buy it in or to make it?
We make ours.
Perfect. Yeah. This one is definitely one to consider making. When you make it, you get to control what you put in. You can potentially add some more veggies, and you also get to control the portion size, which is something that's really important that you have no control over when you're buying it in. So I know some schools who do like a half serve and like a full size serve and a half serve, catering for different size students or staff and students. And I guess in a primary school as well, like this is something when it's really important. You can do a potential smaller serving size and it's not getting wasted, because a kid in year three isn't going to eat as much as a boy in year 10 or 11. Something like mac and cheese is also a dish that you can make in bulk and freeze, and you can reheat on ordering. So it is very cost effective for you to make. In terms of a little bit of number crunching here, so if you were to bring in some mac and cheese, it's going to cost you about $2.10 per portion. But if you make it, it actually is only about $1.50 per portion. You're still selling them for the same price. And so down the bottom here, that markup for something that's made in-house is 160%, whereas that commercially bought in one is 90%. So you're definitely making more on that product that's made in-house, if you've got the time to be able to do it. And again, like $4, that's a pretty cheap price for a hot meal. And so you might even be able to pop that retail price up that little bit higher as well, to make a little bit more money on it. So in terms of increasing profit, so I will cover this a bit more in our next network meeting, when we talk about healthy profits and healthy kids. However, just to touch base on it today as well, so cooking in bulk generally decreases the price per serve, and it encourages you to utilize your freezer where you can. So you're not spending, every Thursday only making 12 portions of mac and cheese that you then sell on that day. You can spend a day where you make, 32 portions, and then they go in the freezer, and then that's going to last you for 4 weeks if you sell 12 a week. So if you're not making money on an item, think about whether you can increase the price, or can you increase the price of another item that helps cover the loss on that item. So the pasta bolognese and sushi, for example. So you might not be able to bump up the price on sushi, but you can possibly bump up the price on the bolognese or the mac and cheese to help cover that that price difference on the sushi. So consider your serving size. As I said before, you may be able to decrease the serving size for primary school students. If you're not making money, or at least breaking even on an item, you really need to consider whether you keep it on the menu. Sometimes if it's really popular and you can break even, it can stay there. But if you're losing money on it, and it's not valuable to the bottom line, then you really need to consider how can you change it up, or do you need to take it off? And so the last point there is marketing. So we encourage all of our tuck shops to market items, particularly those that are made in-house. Use pictures and have them on display in the tuck shop, in the newsletter, on social media, on the booking, like the ordering app or the ordering online platform. Students and parents need to see the items that you want them to buy. And we want them to buy those items that we particularly have the best markup on. So I said last week about how I always talk about communication, and here we are. So the important one here with communication and prices is that if you are going to put your prices up or change your prices, you really need to make sure you communicate that price change with your school community. There will be pushback, there always is, but this is where having a process or a policy kind of backs you up. If you say to someone, if they say, why are you selling that for this price? Then you can say, well, this is the calculations. We have 100% markup on it, so it covers our costs in here. That's why it's that price. That tends to have a little bit more weight in it than I just picked $5 because. And then it also takes that personal out of it. If you've got a process, you follow the process. It's not just you deciding whether or not to put prices up or to be in charge of them. Does anybody have any questions? All good? I think you're on mute, Lynette, if you wanted to say something.
There we go.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you, you mentioned the courses at the start. Are they like the council approved ones?
The tuck shop management course.
Yes.
So that's one that we just run. And so it's all about like finances, setting your menu, all of the like marketing, and we do go over a little bit of food safety and things, but it's just about like running a tuck shop as a bit of a crash course.
Okay.
If you want like a food safety one, there is a food safety supervisor course that is accredited, and so we do deliver that one as well.
And that's the one that the council need for us.
Yeah, that's right. So if you're in a state school, if you're in a non-state school, it's somebody on staff needs to have that food safety supervisor qualification.
Yeah.
If you're in a state school, it's not mandatory, but it is definitely best practice.
So how often do you need to update the qualification?
So it's 5 years.
5 years.
That food
Okay.
safety
5 years,
supervisor is 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wondered if your one was the so you have got one food accredited one.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. So it's called the food safety supervisor. Yep.
Yep.
So that tuck shop management one, it's not accredited, but it covers all the things that are valuable for people running a tuck shop. I guess we kind of looked at it more so from like, let's treat this as a bit of a business. Like, how would you run a business? And so teaching you those skills to run a tuck shop in a way that is, great, like teaching you about the finances and all of those type of things.
Great.
So, and I've only just now opened the chat, so thank you everybody for putting your comments in the chat as well. So in terms of, I guess I've mentioned throughout the presentation as well. We do have a lot of resources on the website about finances. So most of them are member resources. However, there are some on bulk cooking, time efficient menus, and marketing that are also really valuable and feed into this topic as well. Our next meeting in 2 weeks, that healthy kids, healthy profits, whatever it's called. I guess there'll be a few more like action items on like, how do we go about doing this? And now I can't move my screen along. So yeah, so that's in 2 weeks. In term 4, we're also planning on heading to Bundaberg in week 4. So we will do a face-to-face network meeting up there as well. So if you're in Bundaberg, keep an eye out for that. And we're also thinking of heading maybe to Cairns in term 1,
yes.
2026.
Oh, 2026.
So term 1. So term 1 next year. It's not that far. It will be here before we know it.
That'll be good though.
Yeah, and so so keep an eye out for things that we will try and run while we're there. We try and do a few things at one time, just to maximize that travel while we're there. As always, a recording of the session will be available. I'll email out the PowerPoint to everybody. And then, if you've got any questions or if there's anything you want to know, as always, reach out. That's what we're here for. We love supporting you guys and helping you do an already wonderful job. So any other questions? All good? Excellent. All right. Well, have a good week, everybody. We've got a public holiday tomorrow, so I'm never going to complain about a day off midweek. And we'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
See you later.
Thanks. Bye.